Police in France are on the hunt for a team of 4 suspected thieves after a daytime robbery at the Louvre Museum in Paris. The French Culture Ministry says 8 items of jewellery were stolen, including some crown jewels, and has described their value as priceless. The Interior Minister says the thieves got in using a crane, then smashed 2 display cases and then quickly fled on motorbikes.
A daring heist at the world's most visited museum. Just half an hour after the Louvre opened its doors to visitors, investigators say thieves used a mechanical ladder to reach an upper floor window and smash it, going in and out within minutes. To be completely honest, this operation lasted almost 4 minutes. It was quick. We have to say that these are professionals. Organized crime today targets objects of art, and museums, of course, have become targets, because France, as you know, is a country of heritage. Their target, the Apollo Gallery, home to France's remaining crown jewels. They escaped with 9 objects, including an emerald and diamond necklace, once gifted by Napoleon to his wife. One of the stolen items has since been recovered. All of this happened just 250 meters from the Mona Lisa, and experts believe it will be difficult for the suspects to sell the stolen items.
These pieces are too well known, too publicized. It's a bit like when the Mona Lisa was stolen. You see, the thief at the time didn't realize the scale of his act, and in fact they found the Mona Lisa under his bed. It was completely unsellable. So here, the pieces are unsellable, except that they're made of precious metals.
Remarkably, no one was hurt. Footage from the scene showed confused tourists being steered out of the glass pyramid, where the main entrance is, as officers closed nearby streets.
We were booked on a tour and got inside and were immediately told that there was something going on. There was police cars coming through, and stood in line for like 40 minutes until they finally got confirmation that it had been closed.
The museum remained closed for the rest of the day, while authorities search for clues to track the suspects behind the brazen robbery.
I'd like to welcome Tim Carpenter now, Managing Director of Argus Cultural Property Consultants, a firm that specialises in the protection and preservation of fine art and antiquities. He's also a former head of the FBI's art crime team and joins us from Little Rock, Arkansas. Welcome to you. I'd like to ask you initially, Tim, what was your reaction when you heard about this theft?
Oh, well, thanks for having me on, Jared. I think you can imagine my reaction was about like everyone else's. Imagine my surprise when I woke up to hear about this terrible crime.
Yeah, and given your experience, how do you think that such a bold robbery could happen in broad daylight at what is the world's most visited museum, given all of the security measures that you would assume are in place there?
Well, look, I mean, the Louvre is the most visited museum in the world, but it's also one of the most well-protected museums in the world. They have a great security program, and it's very strong there. But let's be clear, no museum anywhere in the world is impervious to dedicated intentional criminal activity. It's just the very nature of the museum, right? Their mission is to be open to the public and to be inviting and accessible. They also just happen to house billions of dollars in art and cultural heritage. And so that dynamic makes any security program a challenge.
But given what you've just said, could we perhaps assume that given the security measures that you've said are in place, that the thieves would have been professional? They would know what they were doing?
Yeah, for sure. These were definitely professional thieves. This was a targeted crime. I think they had done their homework. They had obviously cased the gallery and knew exactly where to make their entry and had a good plan in place.
Why do you think they would target the Louvre? Wouldn't there be easier targets in Paris to get to?
Well, for sure, there are easier and softer targets, as we would call them in our vernacular, but no other institution that houses the crown jewels, right? So that makes for a juicy target, if you will.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, I guess people are wondering what's going to happen to these pieces, and I guess focus is turning to the black market. How does the black market work for what the Culture Ministry has described as priceless pieces?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think just to answer that, we have to kind of look at this in two perspectives. Traditionally, when thieves steal traditional artworks, two-dimensional pieces, paintings, prints, works on paper, that kind of material, the challenge really isn't the theft. The challenge is moving those pieces into the market stream, right? Because as I think one of your other guests said, the works are generally known and they're difficult to monetize. And at the end of the day, that's what this is really about, monetizing a commodity. When we talk about precious gemstones and precious metals, which have been increasingly targeted by thieves, particularly in Europe, it gets a little more complicated because, of course, they can melt those materials down. They can carve up those pieces, which is a tragedy, right? It's a terrible loss to cultural heritage. And then move those individual stones or those metals into the marketplace individually. I don't think that will take place here because of the nature of the material that was stolen. These are very important pieces, and my guess is these criminals will want to keep them together.
Yeah, and they're certainly very highly identifiable. We know that a crown has since been recovered. Is there a chance, do you think, that the other pieces that were taken will ever return to the museum?
I think the chances are high for that. So we have long relationships with our French counterparts and our law enforcement counterparts within France. They're very good at what they do. I have every confidence that they will route every resource they have onto this investigation, and we hope for a recovery.
Thanks so much for that, Tim. That was Tim Carpenter, Managing Director of Argus Cultural Property Consultants in Arkansas. Thanks so much.
Thank you.